It can't be very good for the jury to go to recess with Bobby's testimony still fresh on their minds.
Don't try to second-guess them, baby.
Luke is right, Laura. Besides, it'll give me a chance to work on my cross, and I'm going to use every second of it.
Where will you be?
Be upstairs in the library. Don't worry, they'll call me when court's back in session.
Would it make you crazy if I took off for a little while?
Luke.
Honey, believe me, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't necessary.
What are you up to?
Not me. Not me, Edward. He's got some connection to that spud that sucked Lucky into the high-stakes poker game. The guy's name is Harper.
What does this mean?
I'll say I don't know. I gotta go find out.
Okay. Please, just be careful, all right? I don't feel as much on top of my game when you're not here.
I'm always with you.
Spend your whole life grasping at straws, counselor?
As long as the jury buys it.
Yeah, you almost had me going with that silly logic.
And what do you have? Your marker. Fax from Atlantic City. Your IOU is now paid in full.
That didn't take any time at all.
No. I have connections. Oh, and here's something entirely different. This is a cashier's check for $1 million.
Now you're talking.
Then shut up and listen, because this comes with strings attached. Now, you will take this check, and you will take your wife and your son, if they exist, and you will leave Port Charles. You'll leave the state, disappear, and you'll use this to start all over again.
Where would I go?
Well, frankly, I don't care. Why don't you try Hollywood? Why don't you put your son's dubious prowess with the camera to practical use? But you understand this, buddy. If you ever try to contact me again, if you ever so much as send me a Christmas card, I will use my connections to see that you disappear permanently.
That's a lot to ask.
That's the offer.
Only $1 million?
Oh, God, you've got moxie, Harper. You don't have many brains, but you sure have guts. Nope. $1 million, that's the offer. And I'm about to walk away from it.
Walk away from what?
This is private business, Spencer.
This wharf rat must be Harper. I'm just itching to know what he's doing here with you. I received an invitation from your friend here, Edward. Does Lila know you're slumming?
Mr. Spencer, I'm glad you came.
This man is a liar and a thief.
Really? What did he steal? What does it have to do with the case?
I'm a businessman and I'm negotiating. I think you might like a piece of this action.
Do you know who he is, Luke?
Yeah. He's the slug that suckered my kid into a high-stakes poker game. But I'm beginning to smell a complication, Edward.
He's also the one who set Lucky up to get the hell beat out of him.
Is that right?
Wait a minute. Aren't you even interested in what I have to offer?
Maybe in time. This meeting just took on a whole spicy new flavor.
I don't want to fight.
Really? You don't like to deal with somebody your own size? That's too bad, man. Because I'm about to do what my kid couldn't do.
Look, Spencer.
I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's not your fault. The DA is good at her job.
You know, it's so frightening to sit in that chair. I'd almost forgotten.
Been there before?
When I was fighting for Lucas. Oh, Laura, I really hoped I would be of some help to you.
I know that. We've been through worse.
Have we? At the moment, I can't even remember.
We have.
How can you be so calm?
I'm not. But imagine how they would react. If they could see how I really felt.
Where's Luke?
Out slaying the dragon.
Maybe I should just go.
Please don't. I need you.
Oh, sure, I'll stay as long as you want me to.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just ticked, you know. I thought I could handle it better.
I know how you feel. I went through the drill yesterday.
You both did fine. You told the truth. That's all I ask. I just want to get back in there. You know, it's the waiting. It's really getting to me.
Don't count on it, Laura. I just heard the attorneys of record are trapped in the elevator together.
Are you serious?
Yep. They're stuck somewhere between the 3rd floor and purgatory, just as called from his cell phone.
Good Lord, can you imagine being stuck in the elevator with that viper?
Where is he?
He's gone. At least I couldn't fight him.
Do you think he got away?
Either that or he drowned and the current took him.
Oh, God, this is a fine mess. You just couldn't leave well enough alone.
Edward, butt out of this! He had something to say and I wanted to hear what it was. God, how could I lose him like this?
Well, power is either out or dimmed down in most of Port Charles. Guess there were too many air conditioners on at the same time.
Except here at the courthouse. They never got turned on in the first place.
We can't even use electrical fans.
It's so frustrating. Why didn't I see what Dara was up to sooner?
Because she backed into the subject of little James's health. She caught you off guard.
Off guard, yeah. I always thought the whole point of testimony was to get the truth out.
Only the truth that she wants to hear. Miss Jensen is good at her job. Don't worry about it, Bobby. Justice is better. Whatever damage was done, he will fix during the cross-examination.
If the power ever comes back on. And if he ever gets out of that elevator. I bet he and the prosecutor are all over each other by now.
What happened?
It's no use. He's gone.
Well, he has to be down there somewhere, for God's sake. We saw him fall in.
Hey, you want to take a dive and have a look? Be my guest. It's dark down there. You can't see a thing and there's bad current.
But what if he was swept away and is still alive? He could surface somewhere else.
So what? Why do you care? What's up with you and this guy, Harper? And what does it have to do with my wife? Wait for an answer, Edward. What is the connection between you and this slug, Harper? Some guy who likes to rough up kids, specifically my kid. What's up?
It has nothing to do with you or your family yet. It's a personal matter, Spencer.
That's not good enough, Edward.
All right. I succumbed to a bit of the gambling bug, and Harper was my bookie. I placed bets with him, some rather large ones, and I've incurred some rather heavy losses.
You're telling me you got a gambling Jones?
Well, my natural proclivity for the vice sometimes gets better of me, and he was pressing me for payment.
Well, don't stop here. You know, this is just getting interesting.
Well, I told him he could wait a day or two while I made some arrangements, but he decided to put me on the spot. by hounding me in court. And at the moment, all I could think of was just to get him out of there. And off the top of my head, I just suggested the docks. The last thing I would want would be for him to show up at my house.
Of course.
Luke, I will tell you anything you want to know later. Huh? What are we going to do now? Do you think that Harper really drowned?
Yeah, I think he's dead. Unless he's got a dive buddy with scuba gear down there.
Well, are you going to notify the police?
No body. No crime. Nothing to report. Is there?
My lips are sealed. I certainly wouldn't want my association with that man becoming public knowledge.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about the public, Edward. Worry about me. Because I don't believe a damn thing you told me is even close to the truth. But we'll fix it.
You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild thing.
Wild thing. I think I love you. But I wanna know for sure.
So come on,
hold
me tight. Down.
I love
you.
Down.
It's times like this I miss Mary May the most.
Why? Does she really know how to sing?
No, she was so reassuring and so supportive. I could really use that special brand of comfort right about now.
Mrs. Spencer, how do you think the trial's going so far?
I don't have anything to say.
That bad, huh?
Mr. Jarvis, the advice of her attorney, Mrs. Spencer's not going to make any comments right now.
What are you, Quartermain, her press secretary or bodyguard?
But it's a funny thing. I guarantee she's going to remember exactly who respected her privacy right now and would probably be inclined to give said individual an exclusive interview after the acquittal.
Is that a deal, Mrs. Spencer?
Absolutely.
In that case, we have a date at the end of this trial.
Yikes.
Thanks. I'd have hated having to dip him.
You know, if only Justice had had a chance to cross-examine me before this power failure. Because now there's all this time for Dara's twisted version of the facts to live on in the jury's mind.
Justice will set him straight. Do they really have to wait for the power to come back on before they can get them out of this elevator? You know, I thought that they could help them out of the top or something. Not that it sounds like they're suffering.
I felt a 2-ton weight drop off my shoulders when Justice agreed to represent me. I know he's paying for it, though, ignoring his re-election campaign.
Justice knows what he's doing. Besides, he was passionate about the case even before he took it. I think it's his way of avenging the burning down of Ward House and honoring Mary May's memory.
I think you're right.
Besides, he loves the hand-to-hand combat of a trial. And I can't wait to see him put Dara Jensen's face out of joint.
Hey, what's up here? No candlelight session in court tonight?
No, not yet. Where have you been?
Would you mind?
Not at all.
I was right. Edward Quartermain is definitely covering something. How did Bobby's cross go?
It didn't. The judge took a short recess and then the power went out before we came back again. As a matter of fact, Justice and Dara are stuck in the elevator together right now.
My kingdom for a nice, frosty glass of beer. How you hanging?
Well, the good news is the heat beat out my panic. Look, I'm gonna take this skirt off. You don't have to turn around. I'm beyond all modesty.
Well, all I can say is it better not get any hotter.
Hey! All right! In the air.
Justice.
Oh,
Are you all right?
yeah, I'm just a bit wilted, that's all.
I was worried about you at first, trapped in there with the dragon lady.
Oh, well, she had a rougher going of it than I did.
I know how all that singing can really take it out of you.
She's claustrophobic, and that was my way of distracting her.
Was shedding her clothes also another ploy, or is that just what snakes do?
All rise. The people of the state of New York versus Laura Spencer. Judge Mary and Henry presiding.
Please be seated. Ready to continue, counselors?
We are, Your Honor.
I am, Your Honor.
Very well. You may summon the jury. Proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Ward.
The defense recalls Bobby Jones to the stand.
I remind you, Mrs. Jones, you're still under oath.
Miss Jones, as a nurse and mother, you must have become quite acquainted with children's ailments.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness's specialty is surgery, not pediatrics.
Your Honor, Mrs. Jones had extensive pediatric service during her training.
Overruled. You may respond, Mrs. Jones.
Yes, I do know quite a bit about children's ailments.
Now, you stated that baby James was healthy and happy while he was in your care. Is that right?
Oh, yes, he was. Well, except for the first night. He definitely was not happy the first night that he was with me.
Well, what was the problem?
Mostly he was traumatized by the fire.
Well, why wasn't he taken to the hospital?
Because lying all alone in a hospital ward was definitely not what he needed. And I knew that if special services took him, he might have to spend hours sitting in some office while they looked for a temporary foster home. So I volunteered to take him home with me so that I could give him what I believed he needed, which was a lot of loving one-on-one attention, the same kind that Laura Spencer was giving him before the fire.
Your Honor, I object. The witness was not present at Ward House, and she doesn't know what Laura Spencer actually did before the fire or the murder.
Confine your responses to the questions asked, Mrs. Jones.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Jones, would you please elaborate on what you meant when you said that baby James was traumatized?
He had a fever, and he was extremely fretful that first night. I remember telling my husband I only got about 20 minutes sleep because baby James was up crying and so miserable most of the night. He needed to be held, and he needed a lot of comforting.
And to what did you attribute this condition?
Fear, disorientation, probably some smoke inhalation. And part of his discomfort could easily have been due to an ear infection, which was taking its course.
Your Honor, I strenuously object. Your Honor, the baby's ear infection has not been established by any medical authority. Therefore, it is the witness's opinion.
Expert opinion. You yourself said that she was a reputable medical professional. You can have the clerk read your words back
That
for
won't
you.
be necessary, Your Honor. The point is, Mrs. Jones had no knowledge at the time that James had any such ailment. She is simply going on what Mrs. Spencer told her after the fact. And it hardly needs mentioning that a defendant on trial for murder possesses a very strong motivation to lie.
Mrs. Jones never said equivocally that the baby had an ear infection, just that the baby might have an ear infection, based on the baby's behavior, his symptoms, and her medical expertise.
I heard enough argument on this subject. I'm going to allow Mrs. Jones to give her impressions of the baby's condition. The jury will weigh the testimony accordingly. I was hoping that during your recent enforced confinement, the two of you might have worked out a less combative mode of communication, but I see that isn't the case. Continue, please. I still have hopes of making it home for dinner.
Well, I'm going to do my best to make your hopes a reality, Your Honor. Mrs. Jones, you've tended to your own children when they've been sick with fever, sore throats, stomach aches, ear infections, the entire gamut. Is that correct?
More times than I can count.
Now, as a nurse, can you estimate the number of times you've seen children with ear infections?
Probably hundreds.
And is it your experience that such maladies can clear up overnight?
Oh, yes, I've seen that happen a lot.
So, in your expert opinion, it's quite possible that James had a residual ear infection the night of the fire and then was fine the next day.
In my opinion, that's entirely possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones. No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. I'm sure you're all as tired and uncomfortable as I am after a long, hot, powerless day, so I'm going to adjourn court until 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning.
All rise.
Yeah, you were dynamite. Thank you so much. Hey, you know, I wasn't going to get off of that stand again without telling it like it really was. And I think Justice and I, we're pretty much in sync.
And I have a special hug reserved for you, too. Wow, you look like you're about to burst your bubble. Let's have it.
I think it was a wash. We didn't lose any ground, but we didn't blow her off the playing field by any means.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, the burden of proof is on the prosecution, and every argument of hers that we nullify brings us one step closer to getting Laura free.
Congratulations, Justice, on a very
Excuse me,
skillful
please.
cross-examination.
What's the matter with you, Edward? You look like you've seen a ghost.
No, Justice. Ghosts can't hurt us. It's the living that can do all the damage.